Hey there, everybody. What I wanted to do today was talk about a few strategies to use when solving three-digit addition problems. So I have the same problem written 4 times, and I'm going to go through and show you a few strategies. So looking at the first one, we have 309 plus 275. What I'm going to do in this strategy is I'm going to think of breaking it up into the place values. So we have a 3 and a 2, and that's in the hundreds place. So we would think of this as 500. And then we're going to move to the tens place. I'm just going to change the color so it's a little easier to see. We have a 0 and a 7. So we have no tens and 7 tens, which is 70. Because 7 tens is 70. I'm going to make sure I put a plus sign in between here. And I'll change color for the final one, which is the ones. And that's going to be a 9 and a 5. And if we add 9 plus 5, we get 14. And I may just do one more step where I'm going to combine the 500 and the 70 to make 570. And if I add my 14 to that, I can think of adding 10 first, which should be 580. And if I add 4 more, that would get me to 584. So that is one strategy students can use. Now let's move on to the exact same problem, but now it's written vertically. And what I'm going to show you is the way that a lot of parents probably have learned, and that is using regrouping. So we start in the ones column. We have a 9 and a 5. We already found out over here it's 14. So if you think of the number 14, there's a 4 in the ones column, so that 4 stays in the ones column. There's a 1 in the tens column, so that's why it moves to here. 1 10 and 7 tens, because there's nothing here, it's a 0. It's going to be 8 tens. And then we have our 300 and our 200, which is going to be 500. So we get 584 that way. Let's move over to here. Actually, what I wanted to do, let's see if I can do this, is actually, you know what? I'm going to erase this one because I wanted to have more space. So the next strategy is going to be using what's called expanded form, which is very similar to what I just showed you. And you can kind of go back if you want to watch what I did erase. But you break this into the hundreds because 309 is the same as 300 plus no tens, there's a 0 there, and 9 ones. And we do the same thing for the bottom number as well. 200 plus there's 7 tens, so we would write that as plus 70. And there are 5 ones, so we say plus 5. So you may notice this actually ends up being pretty similar to what we do over here, because if we add that up now, we have 500, we have our 70, and we still have our 14. So we end up with the exact same thing that we had over on the left-hand side there. We end up with the same thing as over here. We put it together the same way, we would end up also with 584. And then the final way I wanted to show is a bit of a rule breaker. So in this case, we start in the hundreds column. I'm going to do it down here. So we have 300 and 200, which is going to be 500. Then you move to the tens. We have 0 tens and 7 tens, which is 70. And we have a 9 and a 5 in the ones column, which we already found out is 14. And then all we do, once we've written those down, we add those up again. 0 and 0 and 4 is going to be a 4. 0, 7, 1 gives us an 8. And we just bring that 5 down because there's nothing else there. So again, 584. So that was 4 different strategies that I showed you. I know I erased the other one over here, but that's 4 different strategies students can use when solving math problems. And hopefully this video can be a resource that you can watch at home to hopefully do a little bit of practice. So that's the end. Thanks for watching, everybody.